I think, something that is should be obvious to people is that, you need to continue to set goals. You need to continue to work hard and continue to strive to achieve your goals that surround the passion that you have, because you're obviously very passionate about it. And I think that's something that speaks worlds to people because, it's not something that you could achieve being half-assed or doing it a half-assed way. It's something that you need to be truly passionate about and committed to and put in the hard work to do it. And that's why I think that the things that you're doing are great, and I think it will be successful because passion is definitely the foundation of it. So I wanted to see if there's any questions here. Yes, Susan.
Ash, I have a big picture question for you. There's so many people in our chat rooms right now that are talking about they are passionate, they do work hard, they may play the drums 8 hours a day, they've been working on this for 18 years, they're totally committed, passionate, hardworking. What is the missing ingredient to you for these people who have been doing this forever or are putting in like hours and hours a day and still don't understand why they can't, nothing's happening in their lives with this, with music?
Some people that have been passionate for 18 years and they still don't feel that anything's really happening for their careers.
Well, I'm saying even young people who are playing drums like 10 hours a day, they're totally committed, they're totally passionate, they think they're working really hard. Or there's people who've been in the industry for 18 years and are just, waiting and are passionate, are committed, are working hard. Like what is if you had something that you could tell them that is the missing ingredient in this equation for them, do you have something? Do you have a one-liner or something that you think is the missing ingredient in that scenario?
I mean, if you're a drummer in a band, it could be your guitar player and your singers. It could be the songs you're making. I mean, I still stand very hard behind it starts and ends with the talent. And that doesn't mean, on a technical level, you could be an incredible player, but what are the songs? Some of the best songwriters aren't incredible singers, I mean, Bob Dylan, Mick Jagger, they're superstars, but, I bet you Spencer from Periphery can probably sing more octaves than them. But what does that mean? I don't think there's a single line I can tell these people, but you have to be honest with yourself. So if they're playing a show and you're about to play your favorite part of the song, this is the part of the song that you think, maybe it's your chorus, maybe it's your bridge, and you're like, this part is so awesome. I think it's awesome. And you're playing it, look out into the crowd. When you're about to sing your favorite lyric or play your favorite beat or drum fill or drum solo and something that you think so great, look out into the audience. Or here's my favorite riff. This is my favorite part. Make eye contact. Is everyone paying attention? Are they engaged? Are they on their phone? Are they walking to the bar, getting a drink? You have to use all of this to your advantage. Don't get discouraged. It's knowledge. Knowledge can be learning at this CreativeLive session or filming yourself, playing a show, filming the audience and watching people's reactions. What is working and what isn't working? Be honest with yourself. And remember, everyone's got an ego. We all have egos. That's why we want to do things other than get out of bed, because we have drive, we have passion, and we have, all humans have an ego. So if you've been doing it a long time and you don't feel like you're getting that success, sure, it could be because maybe you aren't discovered or whatever the case is, but, my office address is public. It's on the back of all my CDs. Now, I never did this. Looking back, I probably wish I would have done it earlier, but you can just show up here. I mean, there's security in the building, don't get me wrong, but people that come to our office always look like they're crazy because they're band people. So you could show up, and every so often it happens. Someone will show up and go, hey, here's a bottle of red wine and my band and blah, blah, blah. And if somebody goes the extra mile to get, to do that, then yeah, I'll pay attention. Or, if you think you're a great singer and you can just play guitar and your songs are awesome, go stand in a crowded area. Go to the Venice Beach Boardwalk. Go stand downtown by wherever you live, or if you're out in the sticks, go stand outside a restaurant and have someone film you doing it, and start seeing if you're engaging people. The problem is that people think, one, oh, because it's me, I should be successful. You know, nobody wants to say, oh, it's not my destiny to be successful. And the other thing is the talent. And I want to differentiate between technical ability and making songs that are going to give people chills and make them want to come see you live and buy your music. You know, it's interesting because there's certain bands like Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue. These guys, you could identify them just with the silhouette of what they look like. They made themselves brands and icons by how they looked, but also the music they played. And that's important, but that's not the be all end all. It's not all image. It's not all marketing. You look at a band like Imagine Dragons, and they made a great record. I was watching that band when they were still playing in 300 cap rooms, but the drummer could walk in to this session right now, and a lot of people tuned in might not even realize it's him, even though he's just put out one of the biggest rock records in years and won Grammys and everything else. So it's important. I guess the punchline is, if you're wondering why it hasn't happened, something isn't clicking. And you have to ask people. Don't just ask your friends. You know, so a lot of times friends don't want to tell you things that might hurt your feelings. Ask objective people, you know? If you think, hey, we sound like we want to be the next Foo Fighters, you know, this is what we sound like, then go out there and try and get feedback from people that listen to the Foo Fighters and say, hey, would you be into this? What's wrong with it? You know, I mean, you gotta be honest with yourselves. And just remember too, just because you're playing a style of music that's popular doesn't mean you're gonna be popular. You know how many you know how big U2 is? Guess how many bands try and sound like U2 or AC/DC? You know, I think identity is really important. And don't get caught up either in just one song. You know, Gautier had Somebody That I Used to Know, incredible song. Now the bar's set very high. Marcy Playground had Sex and Candy. That song was huge. Where's Marcy Playground now? I'm not saying Gautier is the new Sex and Candy, Marcy Playground, but you know, once you have that success, it's very hard to sustain it. The nice thing about not being successful is that you can always motivate yourselves that you're on an upward trajectory. Look at where you were last month to this month. What have you done to progress? Have you learned, you know, anything new musically? Have you built your social media presence? You know, one thing I'd like to say to people too is, like, if you're a player, you know, don't be too proud to play a cover. Not play a cover to get fans. Play a cover to see how that song makes you feel. You know, play it to understand, okay, like the scales, the riffs, how the feel of the song is, and study the greats. You know, if you want to be a big band, study them, learn their stories, and listen to as many different interviews and all those things as you can. But again, not to sound, you know, I don't want to be dark or to bum anyone out, but it starts and ends with the music. And if you're playing songs to what you think your target audience is, and you're not getting any reaction and no one's caring, then you need to re-examine that and look at reworking your music.
I have one really one important question that I've gotten a lot that I wanted to ask you, and it's, how important is where you're located, geography, to succeeding in music? A lot of people will go to different hubs where music is popular and try to succeed there, and some people do, and some people are like, hey, I even got up and moved and I haven't made it. How important is geography to this?
You know, that's a great question, and it's interesting on how to respond to that, because it used to be way more important before the internet, 100%. You know, now you could say, oh, well, LA is the entertainment capital of planet Earth, so I should be in LA. But LA, there's more competition than ever. It's hard to get a show unless you can, you know, pre-sell tickets or draw. At the same time, if you're in some small town and you start blowing up in a remote place, then you have a story to tell. You know, having a story is a big part of it too. When Slipknot blew up and got signed, it was like, yo, there's 9 guys wearing masks from Iowa. Like, that had never been heard of. Iowa is the last place people go to look to find the next big rock band. But a lot of times you're your location can set you apart. It gives you a story to tell that you are from some, random place, not random, but just some place that's not predictable. So, I think location it'll always play a factor, but I don't think just because you live in LA or New York, you necessarily have, a 500% chance to succeed more than a band that's in Wichita, Kansas, if you're using the internet to your advantage. And I can't stress enough to promote online. Once you have your song, once you have your music video, go out there and break the walls down to get people to watch it, Like, that can be something dude, be creative. Like, see what happens. Like, make a fake profile of a hot girl on Tinder. Pretend you're talking to a bunch of dudes. Find a bunch of dudes that like a certain amount of music and say, hey, check this band out, blah, blah, blah. What do you think? Don't limit yourself. Do whatever it takes to get the feedback, okay? Yeah. Because there's not going to be a time. It's not just about being on a certain record label or having a certain agent or having a certain manager. It's about having a certain song. It's about having something that's reacting and making people react. And even again, back to TV film. There was that movie that came out. This is before Miley Cyrus flipped, her whole angle, but it was called I can't remember what it was called, but it had Miley Cyrus and Demi Moore in it and all these stars, and I couldn't even get past the first 5 minutes because it was just awful. The script sucked, the acting was not good, and it didn't matter how big. And that's the same thing. Look, you got to look at people that have had huge success. Guns N' Roses was my favorite band growing up. I happen to know Steven Adler. He's a friend of mine. Duff, Steven, Izzy, all these guys, they haven't had massive success outside of Guns N' Roses making music. Guns N' Roses is still touring. They have Chinese Democracy, but they're still touring on the magic that the 5 of those guys created. You can look at Sebastian Bach, Skid Row, big band, 18 in Life, Youth Gone Wild, I Will Remember You, hit songs, lasts timeless rock and roll songs. I love Sebastian Bach to death. He's a friend. Have his solo records done what he wants them to do? No. Is that because the guy's not an incredible singer? No, he's an incredible singer. He's an incredible performer. But the songs are not reacting. And that's when you have to be honest with yourself to say, what is it? Do I need to write with some other people? Do I need to be with different producers? Like, how do I get these songs to react? The music business has crumbled in a lot of ways in the sense of selling records, but Adele still sold 10 million copies. And it's not because she's some sex icon or she's twerking like Miley Cyrus. Adele sold because she had a brilliant producer. She did some great writes with other people. She has an amazing voice, and her songs spoke to people. They gave them the chills. They made them feel things in their life. I can remember vividly the first time I saw the Smells Like Teen Spirit music video. And I didn't know Nirvana before Nevermind. I'm not going to sit here and lie and be like, yeah, I got Bleach on day one. I found out about them on MTV. The video came on. I remember I was sitting in my bedroom. I was 8 years old or whatever. And I was talking on a BBS, which before the internet, there were bulletin board systems that you dialed up on a modem. And I was sitting there talking to my friend on a direct chat on a BBS. And I go, oh my God, dude, you got to see this blonde guy. He's on MTV right now. There's cheerleaders doing this crazy janitor, all this stuff. And I just vividly remember it. I remember the first time I heard Rage Against the Machine. These bands have made an impact, timeless. And that did, exposure was a big part of it. Had Kurt Cobain not been on MTV, would I have found out about them at that moment? Probably not. But that's the beauty of the business today, is that major labels, MTV, they are no longer the gatekeepers. You are the master of your own reality. You can make an incredible song and video, you can put it on YouTube, and you can do the work to get people to start sharing it. And there's a saying I always use in the office: if it's real, the world will feel. If the song is as good as you think it is, you will see some traction. Because just like if you're playing in a club and there's only 50 people in there, screw it, there's 12 people in there. You don't sit up there and play like, oh man, there's only 12 people here. This is a bummer. Oh. No, you kill it. You kill it like it's the last show you're ever going to play. And you hope that those 12 people go tell all of their friends. And the next thing you know, you drew 24 or maybe 50. And then you build it and you build it. one thing that I can tell all of you that are still trying, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's not about getting to the finish line in the first week. It's about, do you still have a career 25 years from now? And we can go through a list of bands through every genre, from classic rock to rap to metal to everything. And yeah, some of them were bigger than others at certain points, but who's still standing now? Who's still playing arenas now? And it's bands that, you know, you look at a band like Tool. Tool wasn't some pop band. They weren't some band that was constantly on the radio. They built a cult following through timeless music and incredible performance and branding. And, you know, I don't know, man, I can go on forever about this stuff.
So no, I was just saying, I mean, the advice and the expertise you've been willing to share here today, I think has been priceless. I mean, it's extremely valuable to the people that are tuning in. And you really hit on a lot of different things that we've discussed today in smaller details. You've really, I think, driven it home. And I really think that it was awesome. I mean, do you guys feel like this was cool? Yeah, it was great to have you here for this. So, dude, I really appreciate your time. I know you were also a very busy man. So thank you very much for doing this. And, it was definitely valuable, and I think it will make a difference for a lot of musicians that are wondering how to take their career and their music to the next level. So I think it was great that you were able to do this, and hopefully you feel great that you've been able to hopefully inspire some people, because I think you have. And, you know, it's definitely awesome to talk to you in this capacity too, because it's amazing how many values we share and how many things that we're both pushing for, to educate people to be better at what they do and to be more knowledgeable so that they can do things a lot more effectively. So thank you very much for your time. We're actually wrapping up this segment for the day in a few minutes, so we got to bail. But I really appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody else does. And if there's any other questions after the fact, I'll definitely get them to you. But thanks, man. I really appreciate it. We all really do.
Awesome. And sorry if I spoke too much took away from the question time. Ash at SumerianRecords.com. Feel free to email me, reference this class, and I'll be glad to help you if I can. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Matt, congratulations on everything you got going on, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Cool. Thank you, Ash. Speak soon.
No problem.